We begin today's lecture on the golden gift of art by focusing on the animal kingdom's most scholarly prince of craft, the elusive nether creature. Here we see the clumsy, featherless, ape-like avian in its natural habitat under North America's most skunked-up underpasses. The creature can be seen wielding old food containers to collect natural items and sometimes unnatural to be used in its many projects. What's that? What is he doing? Has he spotted us? Some sort of mating ritual? And just like that, in the blink of an eye, it teleports from one end of the bridge to the other. What will it do next? Looks like he'll stumble around a bit, I suppose. And that's all the footage we've caught of the creature for today. Until next time. Alright, weird enough. Thanks for sticking around for that. Now on to the build. I found 4 of these weird shaped styrofoam packaging inserts, and the shape of them gave off big dungeon vibes. Here I am cutting them in half to lower the walls, so once it's done, people at the table can see inside our dungeon. Stick around to the end to see the final result. I used a hot wire foam cutter from Amazon I got for about $15, but you could get away with using a knife. This stuff's not that strong. If you use a hot wire cutter, use a respirator. If you can smell chemicals, you're breathing them in, and that's no bueno. If you're using an X-Acto knife or some sort of blade, don't chop your finger off. You'll need those. Let's crack on till the next step. And as you can see, bam, just like that, cut it in half, use my hands to rip it apart. Now you can kind of get a feel for the rooms, what I saw. Here's me doing a bunch of hand gestures because I was talking to the camera, but I cut that out. Alright, cool. Day 2, we're inside. We are planning out our dungeon. I really just winged it. Just kind of marking off with a ruler where I think the openings for the doors would be, possible secret passages and whatnot, just to make the dungeon flow from room to room. Using a ruler to mark these off made it really simple because it's about 1 inch wide and the bases of 32mm models are about 1 inch wide. You're also going to want to have a mini handy for reference. Here I am just showing a little bit of a better view of what I was getting at. Looks like you forgot to put a couple X's there, Nether. Get at it. Next thing you're going to want to do is summon a blade. There it is. The hot wire foam cutter again. I started to use this just to open the doorways. I think I abandoned that pretty quick and just use a blade or my hands. This stuff's really easy to break. If you're working inside with a hot wire foam cutter, make sure to wear a respirator and make sure it's in a ventilated area. I have a door open behind me, so it's cool. Cool, now that we got the doors all ripped out, We're just gonna level out some of the walls. It's a dungeon, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I wanted to level it out a bit. Clean up, everybody, everywhere. Cool, on to the next step. Well, there was some holes in some of this styrofoam, so we're going to use a little bit of foam board and we're just going to mark it off with a Sharpie. Cut those out and hot glue them in. Easy peasy. When I marked these off and cut them out, I wasn't too worried about them being perfect. Hot glue fixes all. And there we go, they're all cut out. Now we're just gonna loosely fit them in to make sure our cuts are close enough. You'll see I have to go back over a couple of them. Just dry fitting them in before we glue them, making some last minute incisions. And here we go, time to summon the hot glue gun. I'm doing it from the bottom just so that we don't get any of those hot glue seams, those welds you get when you hot glue something to something. I did just realize because we made this one in this room and the other one up there, there's no way into these rooms. So we're gonna go ahead and cut some wall section. Awesome, on to day 3, my favorite part. Time for some paint. We are going to coat this whole thing in a heavy hand of PVA glue and cheap black craft paint. You'll see halfway through this time lapse it starts to rain, so I move it to the garage, in case you're wondering. I added some water to the PVA glue and paint mix just to water it down a bit so that it would get all the cracks and crevices. Alright, it's the next day and I decided I was going to paint the sides too, just so that it was all black. I ended up going over the entire thing again just to be sure it's thoroughly sealed in PVA glue. So here we go! Alright, day 5 of our build. I've only spent about an hour a day on each part of this. Time for some color. I chose green and blue. It's just going to be a nice accent color to the stone we're going to do. Easy, cheap craft paint. Nothing special. All I'm going to do is put it on this cardboard, sponge it on, all willy-nilly. So let's check that out. You could really use any color you want for this. I just chose green and blue because I like it. Browns, reds, whatever you want to do. Go bananas. Alright, cool. Looks like it's the last step. So now we're gonna use some cheap craft paint again and a little makeup brush. Just a wide, fat brush. We're gonna mix the black and the gray. And we're gonna make a dark gray. We're gonna dry brush that all over this whole dungeon. That's gonna really make it look like a stone texture. If you're not familiar with dry brushing, basically you put some paint on a brush and wipe most of it off. That way you're only really hitting the tops and the edges of whatever you're painting. Alright, now it's time for the review. Quick and easy dungeon build you can make from some trash. I hope this has inspired you guys to try this or something similar. If you liked it, leave a like, please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching the whole video. Have a great day and be excellent unto each other. Peace!